No Devin Booker, no Jalen Green tonight. So, in the words of King Dirtbag69 with a 199 super chat says, let's just not suck tonight. Psychos and sickos unite for an injury report edition of the PHNX Suns pregame show, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. It's the first home game in quite some time. It's a three-man crew up front, Freckled Mamba in the back. I'm Eric, that's Gil. We got Espo. And, of course, we have all of you filing into chat on a Sunday afternoon as the Phoenix Suns take on the Miami Heat for the second time this month, but the first time back at home. Of course, Steven out at the morgue with updates of Jalen Green, Devin Booker from Coach Ott that will bring you in just a second. But hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button as well. Help us get to 50,000 subscribers. Gentlemen, it's been a day and a half now since we got, or 2 days since we got just bamboozled in Atlanta. How are we feeling now that the dust has settled a bit?
Better. I mean, obviously not good about everything that happened, but I feel like we and the Suns and the guys who got injured basically evaded worst case scenario situation. We saw Jalen Green warming up before the game today. Obviously, he's out tonight, but the fact that it's just kind of a day-to-day situation and Book will be reevaluated in a week, I guess like it's the best possible thing given how bad we felt on Friday night.
I'm just focused on the Miami Heat. It's all about that
Blue
next
collar.
game, right? And you got to just look at that and go, okay, this is who you got. How do you figure out how to win? And what do you do? Yeah. There were, everybody talked about, oh, could it be ligament damage for Book? Seems like you avoided that. Oh, could it be a full tear for Jalen? Appears you avoided that. Now, do I like that he has the soreness? No, that still concerns me. We've got a week until Book's reevaluated. That concerns me, but you're where you are, so you figure out how to make it work.
And I promise we will preview tonight's game against the Heat. Who needs to step up for the Suns? How much of a must-win is it on the must-win meter? But alas, we must talk about these injuries first. Let's take a look at the injury report, of course, brought to you by our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've got a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. For the Suns, just two guys on the report, just happens to be Jalen Green and Devin Booker, but the designation for both of them is important. Jalen Green out with right hamstring injury management. Devin Booker out with a right ankle sprain. We'll get to the Miami Heat side of things here later in the show. This is what head coach Jordan Ott had to say about both Devin Booker and Jalen Green's injuries in pregame.
Yeah, I'll start with the injury stuff and get it out the way. Book, obviously, just right ankle sprain. Seems to be in a pretty good place. Out at least, 7 days the week. And then Jalen, MRI came back, nothing new. So, again, that's great news for us. So, did a workout today, and we'll see where he goes this week.
A lot to get into in that little 30-second soundbite. Some good news on the Devin Booker injury front, who will be reevaluated in a week officially with a right ankle sprain. He was at the Valley Suns game earlier today, no crutches after it was reported that he left Atlanta on crutches and looking all right. No visible braces, but very big baggy pants in classic Book style. Gil, seems like we've avoided disaster, but again, reevaluated in 1 week for Book doesn't mean he's going to be playing basketball 7 days from now.
Right, exactly. I will say, as you mentioned that, like no walking boot. It just had on 2 sneakers and was there at the game. And the fact that he made the choice to actively go to that game would suggest that he's not in that much pain, which would make it seem that he responded well to travel. Talk about being reevaluated in a week. This team plays the Clippers next Sunday. I don't expect him to be active for that game, but the important thing is this is a 5-game homestand. He can get treatment here. He can rehab here. And I think that expedites the process a little more versus if they were doing that on the road.
Look, according to Suns Facebook, the reason he was wearing baggy pants is because he has those Forrest Gump style braces on right now to help
It's
out with
over.
both ankles.
It's over.
Yeah, no, always a good sign. And you got to love that even injured, he's going out to support
Right.
Kaman and Rashir out at a Valley Suns game and taking care of business like that too as a leader. So applaud to that. And yeah, we'll find out in a week. I don't think he'll likely play, but if you go 0-4 this week, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. You're kind of at the point, and we talked about this in the last post-game show, where you have earned some grace. And luckily, it feels like with Jalen Green, like Jordan Ott said, no new damage for Jalen Green, nothing structural, just a little bit of tightness, something that kind of flared up with him. Obviously, he's out tonight, but was listed as questionable going into it. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Jalen also misses next game against Brooklyn, simply because it is Brooklyn, and I know that without your stars, you can't sleep on anybody. But give him an extra day, and then you have Detroit, Cleveland, and a murderer's row between now and the end of February, where you only have 3 games with teams under 500. 2 of them are Dallas and the Clippers, who have won a vast majority of their games recently. Brooklyn's the only one that's like actually under 500 here. So save Jalen, give him a couple of days. But for those wondering when exactly the injury happened, I know we talked about it on the last post-game show. This was Coach Ott specifying when it actually went down pregame.
There's going to be some of this where he feels something that doesn't feel quite right, and then once the imaging comes back, there's nothing new. I think that just eases all of our minds. So he's in a good place, and hopefully we'll see him back. But he just did a workout. It's a 6 o'clock game. We had no shooting around, so obviously it was just him and some coaches in there.
My apologies. That's on the workout that Jalen Green did earlier today. A clip that we don't have right now, but what Ott did say pregame was that play where he went and drew the foul in the paint. Jalen Green, that's when he tweaked his hamstring, not the one where he blew by Kennard. So all in all, I think we can breathe a little easier with Jalen, but again, hamstring not ideal.
No, I mean the tightness and him, basically pulling himself if he feels anything with what Ott said there, still going to be concerning, because that means how often are we going to find ourselves in this place? Is it a mental hurdle? Is it actually something that's going on? Like, where are you? Because again, without Devin Booker, you're going to have a small margin for error. At what point does Jalen come back, and is he really 100% when he does?
So 2 things come to mind. One, the play itself was pretty similar to the first play he had in Philadelphia, and he went to the free throw line, got tripped up, whatever. And that concerns me a little bit, because that's a situation he'll probably find himself in a lot moving forward once he's back on the court. I don't want him to be hesitant doing that. And the other point that you've made a lot with him coming back, you want Book to be out there as well, so he doesn't feel like he needs to be a hero. Now, can those 2 things work at the same time? Getting him back in the lineup and him feeling like he does not have to do a bunch and he can still ease his way back into things, that will be something I'll have my eye on. And I think tonight, like we've talked about, who can step up is really important in filling that void. So when he comes back, he doesn't feel like he has to.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about tonight, Espo. Obviously, this has been a team that has been exactly that. A team this entire year. It has not just been Devin Booker or obviously Jalen Green, who has missed a vast majority of the season. Who are you looking at tonight specifically as like, okay, this is the head of the snake. This is the quote unquote next man up, even though everybody needs to uptick their production?
I don't know that there really is just one. I mean, this team's 1-3 without Devin Booker this year, playing from the jump. So they've yet to figure that out. I think Collin Gillespie carries part of that load. I think Grayson Allen has to carry part of that load. And then, you know what, Mark Williams has to find a way to have an impact down low offensively as well. It's no one guy will ever make up for Devin Booker or Jalen Green being out. So how do you continue to play within your system, find your opportunities, and find the quality shots? I think Jordan Ott's the most important out of them, that has to step up with a new and different ways to find some of these guys' opportunities.
My eyes go to a few places. One, we always talk about Royce and his ability to step up and take over a little bit of the playmaking and do that in tandem with his rebounding. Grayson stepping into the starting lineup, so that's kind of the obvious 1-for-1. Can he shoot more, score more, facilitate more, because he's been doing that lately? But I think with that comes, okay, Jordan Goodwin, now you are a guy off the bench. Like, you are even more for the second unit than you already are as far as the backcourt or whatever hybrid position. He's his own position. Jordan Goodwin is just a Jordan Goodwin position. He's the gladiator position.
Yes.
But thinking about him as well, can he come in and step in and maybe make a couple jumpers? He had not his best offensive showing in Atlanta over the weekend, but I think he can bounce back as well. So I think in that order, for different reasons, Roy stepping in and filling in some of the playmaking, Grayson scoring and playmaking, and Jordan Goodwin being that guy for the second unit.
I think one guy as well, Jamari Bouye, who we've not seen
True.
actually play since he got cleared from the concussion. He obviously is going to now get some minutes and have to step up and take advantage of his opportunity like he has.
Now, we did see him play one game in the G League, and he played really well there. He did not go down to the G League earlier today like Kaman Malawach and Rasheer Fleming, who, according to Dwayne Rankin, are back in the building and available tonight. Would be shocked if either two of them play, but I guess just in case of an emergency, you need bodies. I would imagine Jamari's back in the rotation. The starting lineup for the Suns: Collin, Grayson, Dillon, Royce, Mark. A name that I think we've got to focus at that I think is still your head of the snake, even though he's been struggling lately, is Dillon Brooks. You simply cannot afford to have the lows that Dillon Brooks has had over that 6-game road trip. It can't happen anymore. You need Brooklyn Dillon Brooks, which is really the only game that you look at and you're like, man, you were going, because the last time that Miami and Phoenix played, Dillon Brooks' antics, his pull down after the 3 at the end of the game, was one of the reasons why they ended up not being able to capitalize on a 20-point comeback. Now, the Miami team you're playing tonight, still scary, still has some talent, but isn't as scary because they do have some names out. Let's go back to that injury report and look at the Heat side of things. Tyler Herro is out. Kel'el Ware is out. Andrew Wiggins is in. Yakionis is in. Davion Mitchell is out. That injury sustained against the Phoenix Suns. Norman Powell is available. That's probably the biggest one on the injury report. And then, of course, Terry Rozier is out for reasons. It's just not with the team. I wonder why.
I believe the abbreviation is FBI.
FBI, yeah. When you look at the Miami Heat without all these guys, of course, your head goes to one place, and that is Bam Adebayo, which will be the subject of our credit check. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at Mountain America Credit Union, the official credit union of the Phoenix Suns. The last 7 games for Bam Adebayo, including, of course, that game against the Suns where he turned into Steph Curry, have been phenomenal. 24 points per game, 22 three-pointers made, 7 3-point attempts per game, shooting 44% from deep, also taking about 5 free throw attempts and a plus 5.6 plus minus. I know Norman Powell clearly is an offensive threat, but Bam Adebayo is number 1 on the scouting report, especially with how he's been playing the past 7 games.
Well, and we saw what he can do from beyond the arc firsthand in that last game against the Suns as well. And as Coach Spoelstra said before the game, he's earned the right to go out there and shoot those with everything he's done. This is the kind of center that Mark has some problems with, when they can go out there and shoot the way he can. And Bam has been special. Now, Miami's in that weird situation where, yeah, they've got a great guy like that. They're still not a great team. So, he's a guy that has to carry them in all sorts of ways, and he probably will tonight as well.
Especially given the injury report, as we talked about, right? They're going to rely a lot on him, and Norman Powell is the type of guy who could have a big game despite being, a late addition, or I guess he wasn't scratched late for this team. But thinking back to what Bam did and the way he performed in that game, they were just back-breaking threes. Every single one of the ones that he made was after the Suns had kind of clawed back into it. And I spent so much time talking about Kel'el Ware's ability to shoot from behind the arc. I really didn't think about Bam's ability to do it. I think everybody is now on notice. It's not as much as a surprise as it once was when that was a developing part of his game. And it just speaks to his development as a player, the Heat system, and the fact that he's somebody that we would consider, one of the best defenders in the league, a premier center in the league, and didn't really think he was going to add any more wrinkles to his game. So the fact that this is something that we respect and have to say, hey, look, keep this in check, this is a big key for them to win tonight.
Yeah, and Norm is really good. And Norm is probably going to be an all-star this year. If he's not, that's going to suck, because he might not have another chance. But who knows? Maybe he just keeps on getting better after the age of 30. The Heat are also facing some other types of adversity tonight. The 5th game of a 5-game road trip for them. Okay, we saw the Suns come out in Atlanta a little bit slow on their last game of a 6-game road trip. Second night of a back-to-back with the Miami Heat, but it's not just that. Miami didn't get into Phoenix until 4:30 a.m. this morning. Their flight was delayed from Salt Lake City for more than 3 hours per Ira Winderman, who does a great job covering the Heat. So they're going to be tired. They're going to be thrown off, but we talk about culture. We said it when the Suns went to Houston, right? And it was all these weird things. It was when you have a baseline in a culture, that stuff doesn't matter. I still expect a very scrappy Miami Heat performance tonight. Bam Adebayo being the head of the snake.
It's all they ever give you. I mean, that's just what this team has been for decades now. So I think, they didn't get an extra 2-3 hours of sleep. My guess is they canceled shoot around this morning, so they probably still got their sleep in there. I'm not overly, I don't think that'll weigh too heavily into this game.
It's very rare you see the Heat come out flat, and I expect, similar to what we saw the Suns do in Houston, kind of riding on fumes. End of the road trip, they can sense going home after this. We saw the same thing. The Suns are in the same position on Friday, right? So the Suns should know exactly how this Heat team is feeling mentally and what to expect, the type of fight to expect from them. So I think it's really important that the Suns get out to a good start in this game, and maybe the Heat could run out of steam. I think that's what you usually see with teams in this situation. I don't think it'll impact them on the front end of things, but if you get a good start going, they might just run out of steam, might not have enough punches, especially given the lack of depth they're going to have tonight.
Well, I think what's interesting with that injury report is obviously there's a lot of guys that are out tonight. Davion Mitchell gave the Suns a little bit of hell on both sides of the ball before he exited that game a while ago against the Suns. Tyler Herro, obviously, when you're going up against a team without your two best scorers, you think, oh, missing Tyler Herro, maybe that's the biggest piece. I think it's Kel'el Ware, because having another big that can play alongside Bam Adebayo and shoot threes makes his three-point shot just come a little bit easier. And Bam's probably going to have to play a little bit more minutes now on the fifth game, on the second night of a back-to-back, without having his main backup there. So I think that's a really big deal with the Suns, who we've also seen struggle with some centers that have shot threes well. Oso Ighodaro, I think, needs to have a really big game tonight, along with Mark Williams. We've seen the last 6 games for Oso just be phenomenal. Closing games, including the last game against the Miami Heat. And that bench as well has been so positive, to the point where we're almost like, dang, are you too positive and the starters are too negative? That now when you are maybe up a couple more in the pecking order, you need to play more minutes. Can they sustain that same level of impact? Tonight, specifically, in a team in the Heat with their positioning and where they are in the second night of a back-to-back, that bench is going to be key.
Yeah, and they've got to do what they've done all year: force turnovers, push the agenda that this team's so good at, and that's why the bench has been so successful. It's not because they're significantly better offensively or more talented than other teams. They're scrappy. They'll outwork you. Now, Grayson obviously moves into that starting lineup, so there's a little less offensive firepower, but that's what this bench has been predicated on all year. We've seen guys move up into that starting lineup, and the next guy slots in and just does what's necessary. I don't think it's going to be any different today. And I'm feeling a lot more optimistic than I think a lot of people, especially our chat, does about today, because we've seen this team respond to adversity, and there's no bigger adversity than what they had happen the other night in losing both Booker and Green for the foreseeable future.
And look, it's, for me, I'm not necessarily doom and gloom about like the big picture. I do think that in the short term, without a high level offensive engine, we've seen the Suns kind of start to sputter out a little bit, especially when they were missing Green. And then it was like, okay, then Book was out. And yeah, they fought against Detroit when Booker was out last game. Do they have enough punch to make that go over the top? Now, maybe being back at home is the type of punch, that type of energy that they need to help get there. But I'm never worried, Gil, about this team fighting and showing up. Does it end in wins? The reality is, without your stars, a lot of the times it doesn't. But I know they're going to at least give it their all. And I know that we'll sit here a couple hours from now in postgame and be like, damn, they fought and won, or damn, they fought valiantly and lost.
I think the thing that helps in this case, even though you're dealing with the talent, guys being out, that they're out, these two teams did play recently, and you kind of wish you would have had that one back. So I think the guys who are available are going to fight even more, because they're thinking, hey, this is a Heat team that we didn't show up for to start that game. We didn't control our controllables when we first came out to play them. And then when we started doing that, we clawed back in and had an opportunity to win. That is definitely fresh on their minds, because it wasn't even 2 weeks ago. So I think it's going to be fresh on their minds, and I think that'll help a little bit with the fight, the guys that they have on that locker room. Some guys like Jamari Bouye, who's been itching to get back into the rotation, I would expect him to have some impactful moments. Not to mention, he has history with the Heat franchise. He used to be a member of that franchise. So a little
Crazy
added.
they let him go.
No, a little. He seems like a perfect Heat culture guy. So a little added incentive there to see him play that with that. So thinking about that, it'll be interesting to see the way the depth can be a difference because both teams are dealing with their fair share of injuries.
I think they just crank up the defense, muck it up, turn it into. Sure, we don't have our stars, but you're not getting anything easy, and just make it messy because I think this team can win when it's messy. I think they can win on the margins if they force things defensively. And you didn't lose two of your best defenders. You lost two of your best offensive guys. So crank that up, put the pressure on them, continue to push full court like they have at times to limit that shot clock, like Steven always says on the offensive end for your opponent, and lean into what has made you so good as the other guys this year.
You saying that the sicko matchup I have my eye on, Jordan Goodwin when he's matched up with Kasparas Giacochonis, and some welcome to the NBA moments could be in store for him, and also Jaime Jaquez, who I'll talk about a little later. But as important as he was as far as like the facilitation with them, I think those are two things that Jordan Goodwin can help with.
Yeah, you can also look at Pelle Larson and Dillon Brooks and say, okay, are you guys going to be getting into it? And is Draymond going to talk about it on his podcast?
You make a good point. Dillon has to control himself.
Yeah, you can't
moving
lose him
forward.
this
You
game.
can't. Well, you can't lose him for a future game either with the technicals. You have to be smart with that right now if you're Dillon Brooks, because that could cost your team more than it usually would with the situation you're in. So he has to control the emotions both for the current game and what you might miss because you get that extra technical.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of things we're still going to get into today. We'll do the Suns must-win meter. We'll look at SBG's keys, but I kind of like the point, Espo, about like going and mucking it up and to put ourselves in a different perspective here. If we were in Miami Heat pregame podcast, okay, and we were playing this Phoenix Suns team with these guys missing, we'd say, oh, it's the perfect trap game, right? It's a really scrappy, well-coached team that is built off identity and grit and culture and all of that, right? And now sometimes when you miss your top guys, there's not a lot of film about what you're supposed to do with all of that. And when you have really smart basketball players like Collin Gillespie, Grayson Allen, I know Dillon doesn't have this reputation, but I do believe him to be a smart basketball player. Royce O'Neal, Oso, Mark, Ryan, like you've got really good guys up and down in this guard depth that we touted earlier in the year. If we were a Miami Heat podcast, we'd be like, this is a dangerous Phoenix Suns team back at home and ready to make a statement because they did just lose their last game and they kind of took that on the chin. They took these injury blows and now they're trying to move forward. So when you look at it that way, like every time we face the Grizzlies, it's like, oh, well, you never know because they could pop up out of nowhere. The Suns are 100% made up to be that team. But does that result in a win? Not always, but I think it could tonight. In order to get a win, they'll have to follow these three keys sent in by SPG, who's at the morgue right now. Key number 1, ball pressure and containment. Key number 2, boards by committee. And key number 3, offensive paint touches. Gil, which of the 3 keys is number 1 for you?
Boards by committee by a long mile. Miami had 19 offensive rebounds last night in the first half against Utah. They finished with 26 offensive rebounds.
They did that on Nurk?
They did that. Can you believe it? How dare they?
Nurk, the best player in the NBA this month.
Back-to-back triple-double guy. But
He's 3 this month.
Yeah.
He's the most triple-doubles in the NBA this month. Sorry.
Who would have thunk? But
me.
they finished with 26 offensive boards for the game, and that led to 23 second chance points. If you're going to muck a game up, there are probably going to be a lot of missed shots. And in order to end it with the stop, just clean that thing up, rebound by committee, gang rebound. So I want to see the guards get back in there and clean some things up. We saw it the last time too. That was one of the main things that the Heat were able to build that lead. The Suns were uncharacteristic on that to that level. So I think controlling the rebounds and not letting the Heat do what they did last night would be big.
Yeah, I think ball pressure and forcing those turnovers plays right along with that. It's the margins. We talk about the margins a lot, but when you're without Devin Booker, you're without Jalen Green, those are what will keep you in a game. That's what will give you the opportunity to win is, are you getting offensive rebounds and second chance points? Are you causing live ball turnovers so you can score off of that? So that ball pressure, big deal tonight for me.
This is a Miami Heat team that, quite frankly, just put belt to ass against the Utah Jazz on the road. Now, I get it. It's the Utah Jazz. But they played almost every single player on their roster, except for Davion Mitchell, who again was injured, but he was available last night. Every single player had at least a plus-minus of 5. Not a single negative. And you look at Bam Adebayo had 26. Pele Larson had 20. Kasparis Yakionis had 12. Andrew Wiggins had 17. Nikola Jovic had 23. Simone Fontecchio had 14. They're a team that is dangerous outside of their stars that they're missing in a Kel'el Ware or a Tyler Herro. They are a dangerous offensive team. They have a lot of offensive firepower, so mucking it up on the defensive end. But then you look at a guy like Grayson Allen and Collin Gillespie and Royce O'Neal, it's like, man, y'all can't have some of these nights from threes that we've seen you have on your low points. The Suns are going to need, if not one person to step up and score 25, 30 points, they're going to need at least a couple of guys to hit a decent amount of threes.
Yeah, I mean, to the point about what Miami did in Utah, though, that's the exception, not the rule. They're 9-15 on the road. They're 4-8 against Western Conference teams on the road. So they're not a juggernaut when it comes to road games. They just played exceptionally well last
the
night.
Jazz, too.
Yeah, I mean, the Jazz, it definitely.
Nurkic.
Yeah, so but you're right.
Defensive rating with those triple doubles.
You're right, though. It's not going to be one guy. It's going to have to be multiple guys finding the rhythm offensively. And if you're mucking it up defensively, hopefully you're getting some easy opportunities on the other end for some of these guys to get in a rhythm, to feel it a little bit sooner. Because you can't fall into a game where Dillon Brooks is going 4 of 18 again and forcing shots, and that's your offense tonight.
Yeah, I was looking. Dillon shot 31% from the field during the 6-game trip. So, and that was with the good
Brooklyn game
included. So, a big bounce back from him as far as just the offensive firepower. I'm really curious to see, what the Heat have in the tank. They are 6-3 on the second in the back-to-backs this season. And this is going to be famous last words. When Norman Powell's missed his last 11 3-point attempts. So,
oh God,
what
he's
version?
His next
what
11.
version of him are we going to see?
14 of them tonight.
Oh, he's definitely setting an NBA record tonight. Hopefully I set a record tonight too in our pre-game picks. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and fiscally located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342 or visit PrimeGambling.az.gov. Espo, what are you putting your money on tonight? No, we can take that down. Don't worry about that.
We're putting our money on a lot of guys scoring for the Phoenix Suns tonight. Collin Gillespie plus 15 points. Grayson Allen plus 15 points. Dillon Brooks plus 15 points. Royce O'Neal plus 15 points is a plus 1050 with a 30% profit boost. That's a winner tonight. I think a lot of guys are going to have to get involved.
That's a lot of 15-plus point per game scores, but hey, you know what? Why not?
You got a lot of points that aren't out there on the court. Somebody's gonna have to take it up. So,
what about you, Gil?
A little bit of I got the 15 spirit as well. Grayson Allen 15+ points, Bam Adebayo 15+ points, Mark Williams 7+ rebounds, and then the game. Some points in this one. I juiced it down a little bit, but over 217.5 game points combined for both teams, plus 220 with a 30% boost. Needed a little. It's a check down for me. I've been losing a lot lately. So
you're down there in the negative. How does it feel down there with us?
Well, not technically, but just as like this year.
Oh, that's right. You're not in the negative. Ayrton's in the negative. My bad.
That to me.
Yeah, you're like positive 49. Yeah,
I think so.
Ayrton, you're in the negative. How do you get out of there?
Hoping to get out of it today with Collin Gillespie hitting 3 threes back at home. Oso Ighodaro connecting back in the Valley with over 15.5 PRA. And Jordan Goodwin getting over 1.5 stocks tonight, plus 420 with a 30% profit boost.
I like that. I like that bet a lot. I think our bets are pretty similar. They're nice, they're calm, they're simple, small parlays. Just trying to see
40-leg parlay.
Go through the hoop.
Holy shit.
Fuck it. Collin Gillespie, 15+ points. See, I'm on the wave, too. Royce O'Neal, over 18.5 PRA. Collin Gillespie, over 2.5 3-pointers made. Oso Ighodaro, over 14.5 PRA. Mark Williams, over 1.5 stocks. Dillon Brooks, over half a stock. Mark Williams, over 8.5 rebounds. Royce O'Neal, over 5.5 rebounds. Dillon Brooks, over 3.5 rebounds at a plus 2470. That's including a 30% profit boost. My screenshot was so big, I didn't even get the original odds before the 30% profit boost, but that is what I get. YTIF21 says that's outrageous. Well, I'll see you post-game YTIF21 when I'm back in the positive.
Had that to-do list and he just opened it and it unfurled and that's your bet.
We're gonna have to split up double checking if he hit it or not tonight.
I'll be honest.
No, yeah, we're gonna
I'll
have
be
to split up
honest.
double checking if he hits it or
This
not.
is what our friends over at Bet365 have the line for tonight. The Suns still favorites. -5 on the spread.
Which
minus
makes no
1
sense. Who fell asleep at the wheel?
and that's the thing, by 5 too. +5 on the spread for the Heat, +160 on the money line. We'll get to our predictions in a second, but first, where's this game on the Suns must-win meter? Obviously, we're doing it later, so it's not as high. Espo at a 0, Steven at a 5, which I'm shocked. Ayrton has a 6. You're at a 6, and I am at a 7, which is basically like a 0 for me, averaging out to a 4.8. A 0, Espo.
Nobody expects you to win. You have
does.
you know we've taught. Well, yeah, somebody fell on their head.
Yeah.
You don't have to win because you have a cushion that you've built yourself. Like there's zero pressure tonight, which is why I actually think they're gonna win this game.
Gil, you're at a 6. It's modest.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. You two guys got hurt. Like it'd be nice to get this one, but I don't think it'd be the end of the world if you don't.
It's not the end of the world, but I will say the rest of the West is still winning. The Lakers picked up a win last night. The Clippers play the Nets tonight. Golden State beat Minnesota, which I guess either way you slice it, that could be good, that could be bad for you. There's still reasons to win even without your best players. Now, nobody expects the Suns to win except for one lone man in our score predictions, and it's you, Espo.
No pressure. This team has surprised every step of the way. They're gritty, and this is the mentality that Jordan Ott has built. This could be the kind of win that you go, that's exactly what Suns basketball is right there. A bunch of guys that aren't supposed to achieve anything coming together and pulling out a win.
I didn't believe at first when I sent this in, obviously, but I'm starting to believe now. I would change it, but it is what it is. I'll stick with my original pick. It'd be nice to see it win.
I will say something I don't say often, Espo. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong. We'll see on our post-game show, of course, on this very channel. Please hit that subscribe button while you're here. We are almost at 50,000 subscribers, and you can help us get there. Of course, we'll also be back for a post-game show. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns for live updates on injuries, in-game highlights, memes, everything of the sorts. Of course, also post-game sound from Steven, who's at the arena. We'll catch y'all in post-game.
We all silly like the mayor.